And the main headline again, there is still no sign of agreement at the Lancaster House Conference. The Prime Minister has denied that the European Union is sailing on the Titanic. But now weather, severe thunderstorms are forecast for London and the home counties.
That was awful, isn't it?
What's awful, Bernard?
Well, his job's going. Repossessions, fear of inflation.
Oh, yes, terrible.
You don't sound terribly worried, Sir Humphrey.
Bernard, I'm not being sacked, repossessed, or inflated. Neither are you.
Well, nor's the Prime Minister, but he's worried stiff.
So he should be.
You don't sympathise with him.
That's the deal. That's how Prime Ministers' careers go. They get to be on the front page every day for years, which they love. They travel the long path from euphoric triumph to ignominious failure. And then they wait for the next savior of the nation. It's called democracy.
I don't know why anyone would want to be Prime Minister.
It's the only top job in the country that requires no previous experience. No training, no qualifications, and limited intelligence.
Sir Humphrey, you do believe in democracy, don't you?
Do I know? Actually, no. Not as most people would understand it. Democracy should not be about executing the will of the people. It should be the process whereby we secure the consent of the people to the policies of those qualified to decide on their behalf.
Like who?
Like us, Bernard.
I believe in democracy, Sir Humphrey.
It does you credit. And if all the voters were as informed and as intelligent as, say, me, or even you, it could possibly work, but that's hardly realistic.
Well, obviously we have to stop the government from making stupid mistakes. If I did everything the Prime Minister told me to do, I'd be fired within a week. And rightly so. But I am there to help.
Bernard, we have a leadership crisis in this country. If the government can't or won't exercise it, it falls to us, whether we want it or not.
I know. Power abhors a vacuum.
And we are currently led by one. It's even worse because he has no overall majority.
A hung parliament is a bad thing.
Yes, Bernard. Hanging's too good for them.
Well, at least the coalition agreement they came up with seems reasonable.
Of course it is, Bernard. I wrote it for them. I managed to draft the coalition agreement so that we, in effect, are the elected government. If the government wants to do something silly, we can make sure their coalition partners stop. And we should exercise power because we have nothing to gain or lose personally. We have respectable salaries, honours, an office, and a chauffeur.
I haven't got a chauffeur.
Oh, you will, Bernard, when you grow up. We end up with an index-linked pension, a bank directorship, a couple of nicely remunerated quandors, and a cottage in the Dordogne. So we can be entirely even-handed in our judgments, make them in the public interest.
Well, things may not seem so bad soon, when we tell the Prime Minister about Gumranistan. European Central Bank to the rescue.
Bernard, do not mention the ECB to the Prime Minister.
No, Sir Humphrey.
And whatever happens, don't let him know that the plan depends on joining the euro.
Well, it says so in the ECB proposal, but not until page 67. He never gets past page 3 of anything. Then he jumps to the last paragraph.
I hope you concealed the report properly.
Bottom of the 5th box. Inside a vehicle licensing centre folder. He'll never find it.
It had better work. You know his views on Europe.
Yes, he's afraid that Brussels will take away most of his power.
They already have, and so they should.
Can't he stand up to them? Or would that be too controversial?
It would be worse than controversial. It would be courageous.
That's worse.
Oh, yes. Being controversial loses its votes. Being courageous loses you the election. All we need him to do is preside at tonight's dinner, pretend he's read the Gumranistan plan, and leave the rest to us.
Sorry, I'm late. It's been a terrible day.
Oh, any particular reason?
Well, you've read about the cabinet split?
Yes.
Seen what's happened with the footsie?
Yes.
And the pound?
Yes.
The inflation forecast?
Yes.
Dreadful unemployment figures?
Yes.
So how many particular reasons do you want?
Well,
Now, this Lancaster House conference is turning into a catastrophe.
but it was your idea to convene it, Prime Minister.
Humphrey, when you become President of Europe during the greatest financial crisis in 80 years, then
Just to clarify, Prime Minister, there is no such title as President of Europe.
You're so pedantic, Bernard. What's my official title then, President of the European Council?
No, Prime Minister. The presidency of the European Council has gone to the Belgian Prime Minister.
Who is completely unknown
Oh, well, obvious. He is Belgian.
and not elected. Appointed. In secret, of course, that wouldn't be a problem for you, would it, Humphrey?
You do me an injustice. I am all in favour of elections, provided the right people do the voting.
Yes. I just can't understand it. I'm sure I was the president of the council. I was in the chair.
Well, it is a bit confusing, Prime Minister. You see, we the British have the presidency of the Council of the European Union, which is held for 6 months by each country, and not by individual leaders, and not by you personally. The European Council and the Council of the European Union are not the same thing.
So, which of them really runs you?
Neither.
So who does?
The President of the European Commission. But what it all boils down to for you, Prime Minister, is the difference between being the head of an empire of 500 million people and chairing the Council of Ministers for 6 months.
Humphrey, we were discussing why I convened the conference during this dreadful recession. I had to do something.
And the conference was something. And you did it. Well done.
Exactly. But now it's all falling apart, which might just about finish me.
It may not be falling apart, Prime Minister.
Haven't you been reading the conference papers?
I have you?
The state work wasn't done properly. The Foreign Office and the Chancellery let me down badly. The Foreign Secretary and the Chancellor are probably plotting against me already.
That's why I didn't suggest inviting them this weekend.
Everyone knows that you have to agree the final bulletin before the conference begins. Instead of having everything nailed down before they started, they left it to chance. Useless.
Forsa miseros meliores quentum.
What?
For those in misery, perhaps better things will follow.
Ah, yes. Well said, Bernard.
I didn't actually say that, Sir Humphrey. That was Virgil.
I know that, Bernard.
At least I did say it just now, but not originally.
Oh, thank you, Bernard. We get the point.
It was completely predictable. The Krauts don't want a stimulus plan. They're terrified of runaway inflation because that's what destroyed the Weimar Republic and brought then Hitler. The Wasps and the Dagos are up to their armpits in debt already. The frogs only wanted
Prime Minister, with respect, I really think you should stop using these pejorative epithets to describe our allies. And they may slip out in public sometime.
Oh, yes, quite right, Bernard. Thank you. And the Nixon of Poland can't keep the subsidies they were promised, which they regard as a betrayal. So to take a hands-on approach and give some leadership.
Good.
So, tell me what I should do.
That's just the kind of leadership we need.
Thank you, Humphrey.
And we have good news for you, Prime Minister.
Late last night, we had a breakthrough at Lancaster House. A new player has appeared on the scene.
The Americans, are they coming after all?
No, their position is immutable. They won't come to the conference because you wouldn't let them chair it.
But I couldn't let them chair a European conference, Humphrey. Look at the map.
It could become an intercontinental conference if that would save the whole European financial system from melting down again.
Don't be silly, Humphrey. I'd lose face.
Oh, of course. It's silly of me.
Prime Minister Kumranastan has joined us.
Have they? Good. Have I heard of them?
Prime Minister, they have oil.
Oh.
Massive new reserves have been found there. They're offering Europe a possible $10 trillion loan secured against future purchases.
But that could solve everything.
Yes.
Save the conference.
Yes.
Save Europe. In fact.
Yes.
Oh, triumph for the Prime Minister, victory for the President of Europe.
Prime Minister, you'll not...
Victory for the President of Europe, Humphrey.
The Afghanistan deal may solve your problem.
Oh, good. So where is I?
Well, we're not quite there yet. They do want something in exchange.
You know where Afghanistan is?
Oh, yes. So, somewhere over there, east of Suez.
It lies in Turkestan, north of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Afghanistan. Here, in fact.
As I say, exactly.
They had been planning to take their oil to Europe through the Soviet pipeline.
No. They're not Soviets anymore, Humphrey. They're Russians. Haven't been Soviets for 20 years.
They still are in spirit and always will be.
But the Russians want a pretty huge payment.
Which Afghanistan doesn't want to pay, especially since the Soviets will have their hands on the tap.
So, with a little encouragement from us, Afghanistan came up with Plan B, a pipeline through Turkey, Greece, and southern Europe, avoiding Russia altogether.
What they need is European agreement, and that's what they're prepared to lend us $10 trillion for.
Why?
They want to guarantee future oil purchases by everyone in the EU.
I don't get it.
It's awfully simple, Prime Minister. Afghanistan will lend Europe the money to buy Afghanistan's oil.
And Europe borrows another 10 trillion more debt.
That's not a problem. It doesn't have to be repaid for years. We get the money now, interest-free, and we repay it in the future when we buy the oil that we'll need anyway.
How do they get their money?
Yes, we'll pay a premium on the oil.
Oh, I knew there was a catch.
But not for many years to come, when there'll be a different government.
Oh, that's all right then. Are all the Europeans on board?
They are, and the problems are what we've been negotiating, as you will have seen in your red box.
Remind me.
Well, as you'll doubtless remember, the Turks refused to cooperate unless they were admitted to the European Union. I see that point. I've always had a soft spot for Johnny Turk.
Johnny Turk. You're on first name terms then?
Oh, very droll, Prime. Turkey is an important ally, the only Muslim country with a secular democracy. We need
Johnny Turk, yes.
Germany, France, and Italy were against the plan on principle.
So what changed their minds?
a $10 trillion loan.
Actually, that surprised me, Sir Humphrey. Surely if a principle was involved...
I think you'll find $10 trillion is a bit above the going rate for principles in the EU permanent.
Yes, what was the principle?
They don't like Muslims.
Anyway, everything is agreed. Everyone gets a share in the construction. Here's the route.
Seems pretty straightforward. But we're saying, and why wasn't I talking about this?
Oh, it's top secret.
Good God, I'm the Prime Minister.
I know, Prime Minister. And what an excellent Prime Minister you are. But it had to be kept under wraps. If it had leaked this week, money markets would have gone mad.
Oh, yeah. Is there anything else I should know?
There is one other thing.
Bernard?
A power group in Afghanistan still wants the Russian route.
Ah, yes, Bernard's right. They don't want to upset the Soviets. It's understandable they share a border. But the Afghanistani Foreign Secretary has come over here to offer the deal to us if we want it.
Invite him to dinner tonight.
No, I did, Prime Minister.
That's why we're here.
Or he can do the deal now.
He has the authority, but he needs careful handling. They're very sensitive about respect.
Well, you get an awful lot of respect for $10 trillion. You can have all mine for a start.
Oh, excellent, Prime Minister.
Bernard?
Yes, Prime Minister.
there's something that you're not happy about. What is it?
Oh, I really don't
Spit
think
it out, Bernard.
Timeo Daenerys et Dona Ferentes.
What?
I fear the Greeks, especially when they bring gifts. Remember the Trojan horse, Prime Minister.
Greeks can't afford gifts. Claire, your chair here. Come up to my study, please. Now. Come in. Now, Claire.
What's the agenda for the weekend?
I'm not sure. Dealing with the Europeans is well like herding cats. Europe is an empire. It needs an emperor.
Meaning you.
Oh, no, of course. I wouldn't dare to say that.
Please don't ever say that to the BBC, or to anyone else for that matter.
What I want to know is this pipeline plan for real?
Seems to be. But then why wasn't the Foreign Secretary invited to Chequers?
The Foreign Secretary?
He does have an interest.
Yes, his only interest is in pushing me overboard and taking my job.
Okay, but the Chancellor wasn't invited either.
Yes. Well, Humphrey advised me not to invite either of them.
Why not?
Because of something, because there is something that I don't know about this pipeline plan. What is it that Humphrey's not telling me?
Let's look.
Yes, let's.
Was that the bottom box? Try the file at the bottom.
Vehicle licensing centre, Swansea. Qumran is down low. Bernard was blathering on about the Trojan horses.
So he must be talking about the pipeline mechanics.
I'm not interested in the mechanics, I'm not an engineer.
Fiscal mechanics, Jim. Financial engineering. You can't run Europe without joining the euro.
Why not? We ran India without joining the rupee.
Perhaps Humphreys arranged for the proposed loan to go through the European Central Bank and isn't mentioning it.
Would that matter?
Yes, if we would want any of the proposed loan, we would have to join the euro.
What? No, we can't join the euro. No, well, that would be a catastrophe. Hand over control of exchange rates, control of interest rates, control of money supply. I mean, when I want to inflate to get re-elected, if the Germans are worried about rising prices, the ECB might deflate, I could get kicked out.
Candidly, I'm not sure that would bother Sir Humphrey.
Well, let's find out. Yes, tell Sir Humphrey that I wish to see him. Any time in the next 10 seconds will do.
He can't disappear.
Humphrey,
Prime Minister.
do sit down. Let's talk about this loan. It's all good news, isn't it?
Oh, tremendous news.
No hidden snags, penalty clause, terms and conditions, tough guarantees.
Oh, no, nothing like that. Standard agreement.
Oh, ordinary treasury loan, as far as I'm concerned.
In a sense, yes.
In a sense,
In due course, following agreed procedures, after certain formalities.
but the money goes straight to the treasury.
It goes to the Treasury,
It
yes.
goes straight to the treasury.
Broadly speaking. Yes, more or less.
Oh, broadly speaking. So how would you describe it if you were narrowly speaking? Does it go through the European Central Bank?
We get the money, that's what matters.
Let me put this another way. Is the loan to be in euros?
Prime Minister, I urge you not to clutter your mind with procedural detail and monetary trivia.
In words of one syllable. Is the loan dependent upon our abandoning sterling and joining the euro?
Dependent has 3 syllables and abandoning has 4. Oh, seriously though, Prime Minister, it's almost time for your dinner with the Foreign Minister of Qumran. Oh, you really mustn't be late.
I want a straight answer.
All right, Prime Minister. You've asked a straight question and I'll give you a straight answer, which, however, clearly has to be considered in its proper context. in the course of all financial negotiations. So provisos have to be precogitated and preconditioned. Various caveats have to be postulated, designated, investigated, and specified. And a number of unequivocal considerations have to be determined, acknowledged, and indeed sometimes conceded, so that we are able to facilitate the finalization of preliminary plans to create an epistemological basis for all parties to proceed towards a mutually beneficial consummation which will acknowledge and safeguard the vital interests of all the parties without jeopardizing in any material way the underlying collective benefit ultimately accruing to the signatories, or leaving unresolved certain anomalies and irregularities which might precipitate operational uncertainties down the line. So there will be, in the Prime Minister, a presumed modicum of ironclad reciprocity, which, in the broad scheme of things, will be to everybody's advantage.
Did that mean yes or no?
Don't you think yes and no are rather broad and unspecific in their application?
No, you're not. I want a clear and unambiguous answer.
Well, certainly. What was the question again?
Is joining the euro a condition of getting the loan?
Well, in the sense that if any agreement is at the end of the day and depending on...
Afraid?
Yes, it is.
You were going to hide this from me until it was too late.
No, but yes, I mean, they all insisted. The ECB insisted. Prime Minister, it is the only way. You need this deal, I did it for you.
For me?
Prime Minister, I'm trying to save you from yourself.
Why on earth would you want to join the euro now?
The same reason. It's the European Union. The loan.
Another austerity package. Disastrous interest rates, public expenditure cuts, and more interference from Brussels in every damn thing. No ECB, no euro, no deal.
But the Germans will have so many objections.
$10 trillion worth of objections. So as I thought. And you were just going to let them get away with it. It would be the ultimate victory for Brussels. Britain becomes an outpost of the collapsing European empire.
Of which you're the president.
I don't be silly, Humphrey. I need share the meetings for 6 months.
If you would just take another look at the computer
No.
model.
It was the computer models that got us into this whole financial mess from the start.
But that's different. Nobody knew that those computer models in the city were being given faulty information. Everybody assumed the mortgages were worth their face value.
They were worth nothing. Why didn't anyone? Well, no. Why didn't you know?
Everybody thought that everyone else understood what was going on. Nobody wanted to admit that they couldn't make sense of it.
So why couldn't they?
Because it didn't make sense. Everyone thought that all the others knew, and there were some who knew. But the ones who didn't know didn't believe the ones who did know knew.
Say that again.
Nobody wanted to rock the boat because everyone was making so much money.
Computer models, Humphrey, are no different from fashion models. They're seductive, unreliable, easily corrupted. And they lead sensible people into making fools of themselves. Because you believed the computer models about the euro, you tried to bounce your plan past me and not tell me until it was too late. I'm appalled. I don't think that we can go on working together. I always thought I could trust you.
Well, you can.
I'm profoundly suspicious about this whole pipeline plan. I mean, I don't know what else I don't know. Do you know?
Do I know what you don't know?
Yes. Is there anything else I don't know that I should know?
I hardly know where to begin.
About this plan, I mean.
Prime Minister, you know everything you need to know. If you want the loan, if you don't want your premiership to crash on takeoff, this is the way it has to be.
Drinks with Mr. Ahiki, the Kurdistan Foreign Secretary, are in 5 minutes, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Baron. At least I know I can believe what you tell me.
Shut the door from the inside. Bernard, did you tell the Prime Minister about joining the Euro?
Absolutely not, Sir Humphrey. You asked me not to.
Well, what put him onto it?
Perhaps it was his special advisor.
That woman. How did she get here without your knowing?
I expect he called her on his BlackBerry.
Bernard, you will let him make his own appointments? If you lose control over his diary, you lose control over him. You never know where it'll end. He'll start running the country.
He can't. He doesn't know Pat.
Of course he can't. So he must be stopped.
What do I do about it?
Get rid of his BlackBerry, Bernard.
How?
Get me yours and a paperclip while you're at it. You slide off the back plate, take out the battery. See that hole? It's the reset button. Press it in there. Right, now it's plugged in for days.
Sir Humphrey, I had no idea you understood technology.
I understand survival. You can practice while I am at the dinner.
Dinner went well, I thought. Enjoyed my speech.
And they really liked the goulash and dumplings. They liked your speech too, I'm sure they did.
What did you make of the Kumranastani foreign minister? Do you think he's really going to help with this loan?
With the Kamranastanis, it's all about personal relationships. Trust, confidence, respect. Plus, he really liked the goulash, that's such a good start. So much better than our usual rubber chicken.
Once he's on board, all he needs a few more endorsements.
Endorsements?
Remember that World Economic Forum at Davos? Well, that really worked because Bob Geldof came out to support it.
Yes, we're working on that. And Annie Lennox. And Bono.
Bono? Oh, well, that's great. Bernard, enjoy dinner.
I wasn't there. I was busy with other things.
Pretty. You have enjoyed my speech?
I'm sure, Prime Minister. But I heard the goulash was good.
New cook, apparently.
Yes, and in connection with that, we have a problem. Unfortunately, we've just discovered the cook here is in the UK illegally.
We have an illegal immigrant working here at Checkers.
What on earth is the Home Office doing?
I wonder if anyone will ever solve that perennially.
Probably plotting against me already. The Home Secretary wants my job.
They all do.
I'm going to reshuffle her to the graveyard. Ministry of Culture, Media and Sports. There's no coming back from there.
I've never understood the connection between those three.
Culture, Media and Sports, none of them matter.
What am I going to do about this cook?
Where's she from?
Well, she wouldn't say, apparently, but she's got a false EU passport.
Can't we just rush a visa through for her?
Well, I'll try, but if you're right about the Home Office, it would take months. I think we have to let her go.
Yes, right. Can't risk the media finding out. Prime Minister harbours illegal immigrant. Oh, God. How did it come to light?
One of the waiters mentioned it at dinner.
Somebody's probably already reported it to the BBC.
Yes. It's the BBC. Oh, I see. Yes, fine, thanks. That was actually the press office. BBC Television's devoting their Sunday morning programme to you, Prime Minister.
Devoting it to me.
No other stories. A full hour about you.
Should I be pleased?
I fear not. It will be called Government in Crisis. They want to interview you about the rumoured cabinet reshuffle and the deadlock in the Summit of Lancaster House.
You're not going to do that, Jim. He is not going to do that.
If I could mention the Kurmanistan loan.
You can't. Not until Afghanistan signs on the dotted line, and not until this Euro business with the European Central Bank is sorted out.
Okay. Bring them back and pretend to be helpful.
Oh, whatever they ask, keep them on the replies in the red binder by the phone.
Red binder, but I haven't seen this before.
Oh, it's been prepared by the press office.
At my suggestion, I worked on it with them.
Good. Right. May I speak to Robin Simpson? Yes, it's Bernard Woolley, the Prime Minister's principal private secretary. He's too busy to talk to you himself. How can I help?
Well, it seems he is losing the support of his cabinet and his backbenchers.
Number 3.
The Prime Minister is not interested in Westminster tittle-tattle. He has the full support of his colleagues and his party on all matters of substance. It's business as usual.
But has the Prime Minister thought of resigning in the interest of party unity?
You're seriously asking me that?
Number 4.
The Prime Minister was elected to do a job and he intends to get on with it. It will mean tough decisions, but that's what the country expects and that's what he's going to do. Next.
What about the awful state of the economy?
Number 1.
This isn't a British crisis, it's a world crisis. Many countries are worse affected than we are. We intend to play our part within the community.
But what exactly is he doing about it?
2.
The government will do everything that needs to be done. He will not flinch from his duty and a statement will be made when the time is right.
Why do you think the European Financial Summit has gotten nowhere?
I don't think that.
5.
What?
5.
Is the Prime Minister there?
No, sorry, that's the TV you can hear. The Prime Minister was elected to do a job at... Oh, I haven't done that already. The meeting stroke conference has certainly not been a failure. There has been valuable groundwork and a blueprint has been drawn up for the next phase. Rome wasn't built in a day. Thank you.
What are you thanking her for?
She says I've been thoroughly unhelpful.
Well done. Well done, both of you.
What? How happy is the Prime Minister about his future?
Happy as a rat catcher on a rubbish dump.
The Prime Minister is as happy as an environmental health officer on a civic amenity site.
Oh, I hate the BBC. Nasty, arrogant, aggressive, unhelpful people who all think they could do better than me. It's like having 3 oppositions. I mean, one at Westminster, the other 2 at Broadcasting House and the TV Centre. Oh.
Yes. Oh, Miss Simpson again. What sort of leak? About joining the Euro? No, the Prime Minister knows nothing about this. Britain's position on the Euro is unchanged. No, I can't explain the markets, but you can.
All right, get on mine. My BlackBerry does not seem to be working.
Oh dear. Neither does mine.
Well, mine is. And this is interesting. Seems there's been heavy buying of euros by Golding Brothers Bank. Funny.
Why?
Humphrey has a directorship lined up there when he retires.
He's out of control.
It could have been someone else.
Well, who else knew? Well, even I didn't No.
Shall I get Sir Humphrey?
Have you gone to bed?
When last seen, he was drowning his sorrows in a glass of the Glenlivet in the long gallery.
As there's been heavy buying of the euro, that would explain today's heavy selling of the pound.
Yes.
I must do something.
You know, I'm sure Sir Humphrey wouldn't leave.
Well, no. He's tried to bounce us into Europe and feather his nest by briefing the bank. Oh, no, he's I've got to get him back under control. He's an overmighty subject.
Actually, he's the Queen's subject, not yours. You're just the Prime
Yes,
Minister.
I know who I am, Bernard. Claire, another example of the corruption of those who believe they're above the law. So we've started to curb the MPs. Now it's time to deal with the civil service.
Suits me. I've had that paper ready for a while.
What paper?
Oh, reform of the civil service, root and branch.
That paper.
Yes, that. Where is it, Bernard?
It's gone.
Be gone.
Lost, discredited, shredded, one of those.
Bernard.
It really wasn't very good. I mean, too general, badly argued, impracticable, over-specific.
What? Oh, too general and over-specific.
And I kept a copy in your desk, Jim.
Oh, this is not their style. Oh, yes, clip their wings, tie their hands.
Nothing has hands and wings, Prime Minister.
Except angels.
Oh, good point.
Sorry, Bernard. But the party will love this. So will the MPs. It'll deflect attention from their little fiddles and diddles. Get Humphrey in, please. And the country would love it. It's a winner.
Just remember the old rule. You never corner the rat, it may bite. Give him an escape route.
He's coming.
Humphrey,
Prime Minister.
do sit down. We're just talking about this leak.
What leak?
About joining the euro. Oh, haven't you heard? All around the city, apparently.
Oh, that. Yes,
What
well.
can you tell me about it?
I, Prime Minister. Nothing. Except I'm told there are these rumours. Happens all the time.
No. This is different. Hardly anybody knew your plan, and suddenly Golding Brothers Bank start buying a lot of euros this afternoon. Who'll tip them off?
If anyone did, we'll never find out.
Oh, I think we will. Humphrey, where did you have lunch yesterday?
I can't.
It was Le Gavroche, Sir Humphrey.
Oh, yes, like I was. Thank you, Bernard. Why?
On your own?
Don't recall. Now, who was it?
You can't recall that either.
One has so many lunches.
One a day, in fact.
Yes.
So, Bernard, ring the Gavroche and ask the head waiter who Sir Humphrey had lunch with yesterday.
I remember now. Some friends.
Who were they?
Just friends.
Not directors of Golding Brothers Bank.
A Prime Minister, one does not cross-examine one's friends about what relationships they may have to hold.
One can find out easily enough.
What is the point exactly?
The point is, there's always bound to be suspicion in cases like this.
I can't see why. Surely you know, Prime Minister, that the civil service will always do what is best for the country.
What about the government?
I presume the government will too.
So, you believe this air of suspicion isn't fair to law and public service?
It certainly isn't.
I agree. So I'm going to introduce our new Civil Service Reform Act.
What?
Yes, I think you're going to like this. It'll give a ban on similar work to any public servant for 5 years after they retire. No revolving door anymore, no paid directorships, no paid consultancies.
But that's absurd. Men of great wisdom, great experience, leading figures of their generation, so much to offer.
And they can offer it, Humphrey. Pro bono. I am Latin,
Pro bono publico, actually.
Yes, exactly. All that wisdom and experience can be offered to the unpaid voluntary sector, Humphrey, for the public good. It will remove any temptation to trade government secrets to commercial employers. Oh, that'll be such a relief, won't it?
That's never been a problem. We have a clearance committee. Everything has to be approved by him.
Who appoints the members?
There's an established procedure.
You appoint them, Sir Humphrey.
Do I? Oh, yes, dear lady. So I do, as it happens.
And that will be one less burden off your shoulders. We'll appoint an independent clearance czar.
Not another czar, please, Prime Minister. In the last 3 years, we've appointed an enterprise czar, welfare czar, a youth crime czar, a preschool supremo, an unemployment watchdog, a banking regulator, a science and technology supremo, and a community policing czar. If you go on like this, you won't need a cabinet.
Perfect.
Perfect. Prime Minister, we even have a Twitter czar.
Her appointment was announced as a tweet.
What's she? Prime Minister, what she is supposed to achieve, none of these people have achieved anything.
But their objectives were achieved. 12 column inches in every paper. Well, merely by announcing them, their objective was achieved. We were seen to be responsive. We were doing something, and it shut the press up.
And didn't cost us anything.
The Twitter czar earns £160,000 a year.
Cheap at the price. Headline news everywhere.
It would have cost a lot more if we'd actually set them up with officers and staff.
And that would have meant more index-linked pensions.
Precisely. Which is something the Civil Service Reform Act will address.
My God, you don't mean that.
You get rid of index-linked pensions? You wouldn't want to do that to the nurses, would you? Or the dedicated teachers, the courageous policemen, the gallant firemen?
The starving permanent secretaries.
Oh, very droll, dear lady. Prime Minister, I agree there are aspects of the organisation and administration of the public sector that can certainly benefit from measured consideration in the context of changing circumstances and the structural metamorphosis precipitated by the communications revolution. But it is important to bear in mind that the administrative practical conditions of service have evolved over many years with manifold and complex interrelationships, so that any attempt to vary one of them would have serious and unforeseeable effects on the others. So to that end, Prime Minister, I propose setting up a series of interdepartmental committees.
No time for interdepartmental committees. Well, there is one other change I value your opinion on.
Prime Minister?
You consider yourself a generalist because of your degree in classics.
Indeed I do, Prime Minister. First class degree, actually.
Me too.
Claire has a double first. And what was the name of your PhD thesis at Cambridge?
The civil service, pretense and the practice.
Most impressive, dear lady.
Published by the University Press.
It's such a pity publishers are having such a struggle to survive nowadays. I wonder why.
Pointed. I was at the Ministry of Defence yesterday. I found them rather impressive. Did I look?
I do, Prime Minister.
What was most impressive was that they knew what they were talking about. They're qualified professionals. They're soldiers, they're admirals, they're generals, they're experienced professionals. Well, our other departments are all headed by historians, literature graduates, and classicists.
Excellent. Men with the wisdom of the ages.
No, amateurs.
Amateurs?
We need teachers in the education department. We need doctors and nurses in the Department of Health. We need accountants and actuaries in the Treasury. We need experts. People who actually know what needs to be done.
I think that would be very dangerous.
I want advice from the real people. All in the real world, doing the real jobs.
Prime Minister, you're striking at the very heart of our whole system of government. Our success is founded upon staying free from the taint of professionalism and the corruption of specialism and knowledge. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. It's out of the question. You wouldn't really do this, would you?
I would. Oh, and if we're not going to get the full markets down, well, we don't have to set our Special Finance Act, which would free up parliamentary time for the Civil Service Reform Act instead.
You mean if the European Central Bank agreed that the loan could go direct to the individual country?
In their own currencies, yes, the Civil Service Act would go on the back burner. But you said they wouldn't agree.
I didn't think they'd agree, but I could be wrong.
Say that again.
I said I could be wrong. Now leave it with me, Prime Minister. Bernard.
I could be wrong.
Well played, Jim. Bernard's in trouble though for not heading this off.
Do you think Humphrey will square the central bank?
I think so. Europeans don't give a toss how they get their money, so long as they get a lot of it and quickly.
All that business about joining the euro.
I think it was just a trial.
What? What on earth? Well, if we want to join Europe now makes no sense.
Because it moves power away from the vote-grubbing politicians and ignorant voters and across to appointed commissioners and unelected officials like him.
Is that why he leaked this to his banking chums?
No, I don't think so. I think he was softening up to them, trying to make himself useful. He was probably horrified when they started buying up euros.
You have a lot of explaining to do when they realise we are not joining.
He'll find a way.
Prime Minister, I have had a quick word with the head of the ECB.
Oh, really? Why, that was quick.
Yes, he's talking to everyone.
Well, if they all agree, we might still get that loan. So, nothing else is going to go wrong tonight, is there?
I don't see how, Prime Minister.
Learn how to drink. Here's your index-linked pension safe after all.
No, thank you, Prime Minister. I'm afraid we have a situation.
Can't we deal with it in the morning?
No, can't wait. We have a problem with the Kuranistani Foreign Secretary.
Mr. Etiquette.
Nice chap.
Yes, well, he just buttonholed me in the hall. It seems Mr. Etiquette wants us to arrange a sexual entertainment for him for tonight.
What a prat. Wow. Well, I always said he was a prat, didn't I?
It's really
Yes,
not our
Prime
problem,
Minister.
Bernard, nor yours.
Yes.
Boundaries have to be drawn, Bernard.
I know, Sir Humphrey. Prime Minister, with respect, it is our problem. I'm afraid I didn't handle it as diplomatically as I should have. I'm afraid he felt slighted. He indicated that unless we find him what he wants, he won't sign the deal tomorrow.
What?
Oh, my God.
How did this happen?
You should have just said that you'd find him someone.
Well, I should have, but frankly, I was a bit shocked.
You always were a prig, Bernard.
If you say so, Sir Humphrey.
So can't you go back to Mr. Etiquette and tell him you're working on it?
How exactly?
Yes, how exactly? This is checkers, not Soho.
Surely Bernard can get a girl up from London.
Me?
You serious? What about all the security at the gate?
Don't use the gate. It's only 20 minutes by helicopter from West End to Checkers, and they check it on departure, but they never check it on arrival.
Where do you suggest we get a chopper at this time of night?
We do actually have an RAF helicopter standing by this weekend. The one the Queen uses.
Do I understand you correctly? You want to bring a call girl up here and not Royal helicopter for the Kuranistani Foreign Minister? Do you think that isn't an appropriate use of taxpayers' money?
Well, we do want this deal signed tomorrow, don't we? Got any better ideas?
I think we should talk to Mr. Etiquette about this.
You should.
Well, you should.
I'm not doing it.
The Foreign Minister's his opposite number, but you didn't invite him this weekend. Clearly, you should have. But Claire can't do it. She's a woman. You outrank him, so it has to be you.
No, I can't possibly do it. A conversation like this has to be with an underling, like you, Humphrey. I have to be able to deny all knowledge of it.
Perhaps you're right. Then I suggest that as Mr. Etiquette spoke to Bernard, and Bernard's the private secretary, Bernard should talk to him. I think that would be the diplomatic protocol.
I can't seem to recall any diplomatic protocol which specifies that the principal private secretary does the pimping.
Well, maybe not you yourself, but certainly one of your people.
I don't have any people here. Prime Minister, we absolutely cannot bring anyone else in on this.
Why not?
I'm afraid there's some more.
More?
He has specific tastes.
You mean blonde or brunette?
Not exactly.
Oh, you mean a ginger?
No, sir.
Then what? Big boobs, small boobs, big butt. What?
Is he gay?
If only if it that simple.
Then what sort of woman does he want?
Not a woman. 3 women.
3 women.
Yes, Prime Minister. More if possible. An orgy.
Can't believe my ears.
Preferably 1 European, 1 Asian, and 1 black.
Well, this is equal opportunities fornication.
Not funny there.
Sorry.
He said that's what they did at the International Monetary Fund conferences with Dominic Strauss-Kahn.
We're not the IMF. We don't have a budget for this sort of thing.
We're accountable to the taxpayer. We can't get involved in this.
Of course not, Prime Minister. So what do you suggest I do? He said unless we do this for him, the whole deal's off.
How dare you bring such a disgusting proposition to me?
Oh, I'm sorry, Prime Minister. Should I just have let the deal at the summit conference collapse?
How did he mention it, and was he in that?
He said he was making a request in complete confidence. I told him I am extremely discreet, and then he told me. Well, I thought I must have misheard, so I asked him to repeat it. He did. I'm afraid he saw the look on my face. He got angry, made some threats, told me to see to it or else.
You should have just said it just wasn't possible.
I did. He said they got a man on the moon. We could get 3 girls from King's Cross.
Technically, that's true.
How did it point there?
Apparently he's also friends with Mr. Berlusconi.
Oh.
Went to several of his bunker parties.
Okay, can HTK really wipe out months of diplomacy?
It wouldn't take much. A word here, a word there, a hint of loss of confidence. This whole thing is very finely balanced.
There. He wants this deal, right?
Right, that he's lost faith with Bernard. Losing faith is a big thing for simple people.
Yeah. Won't he lose face if this deal falls apart?
No, you will.
Well, why not him?
He still has the Russian route.
He won't get any more weapons from us if he screws us over.
Maybe HTK doesn't care about the weapons. Maybe it's just as president who wants them.
Internal repression, that's a possibility.
Doesn't he have to account to his president if this deal goes south?
Theoretically, but the president's over there, and he is here.
There's another possibility. Maybe HTK's bluffing. Maybe it's a test.
Test of what?
Of our friendship.
You hardly know him.
Precisely.
A test of the friendship between our 2 countries.
All I know is, this deal has to stick. What will happen now if it all falls apart and Turkmenistan gets offended?
That wouldn't be good.
It would not. It's a very unstable region. Nuclear proliferation is spreading.
Proliferating, in fact.
Wait, Bernard, did the Turkmenistan ambassador go back to London after dinner?
No, he's staying here tonight as well.
The ambassador. There's an idea. Bring him here tonight.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Now my question is, why didn't MI6 warn us that Mr. Aitikir is a sex addict?
Perhaps they don't know.
It's their job to know. Well, we could have been blackberry Turkmenistan for donkey's years.
Please don't say it that way. We don't approve of blackmail as an instrument of government policy.
Since when?
Blackmail is criminal, Prime Minister. We use leverage.
So what's this ambassador like?
Oh, very good chap. We were undergraduates together at Oxford.
He's a friend.
We are friendly.
Oh, right. Oh, my, it's so humid.
It's
Oh.
clammy. rains. Hi. Yes, it's Claire Sutton. It's the BBC again. I see. Thanks. Piling on the agony, a new story has broken about global warming and they're adding that to the Sunday program too. Seems that global warming computer models have been proven wrong.
Well, shocking.
Shows it's happening much more worse, more severe and more quickly.
Oh, and that's supposed to be my fault too, is it?
Everything is at the minute. They want to know why the government's dragging its feet on CO2 emissions.
Oh, do we have to deal with this tonight? Alongside the collapsing coffers, the ECB, the BBC, my treacherous cabinet, my disloyal colleagues, your leaks, the illegal immigrant, the run on the pound, the coming around a stunning pervert. I mean, is there anything else? Is there anything else we could pile on me tonight? Oh yes, global bloody warming, thank you very much.
It's just that I went to add it to the list of your failures. The alleged failures, I mean.
May I suggest you don't worry too much about global warming?
Oh yes, I suppose nothing I much I can do about it tonight, is there?
Tell me, why should global warming computer models be any more accurate than financial ones?
What do you mean?
Oh, Wall Street computer models were designed to prove subprime mortgage derivatives were low risk. These computer models are designed to show that global warming is getting worse.
It's unfair. All the scientists agree the evidence is overwhelming.
Yes, but the hottest year in the 20th century was 1934.
Haven't you seen the film of the melting ice caps in the Antarctic?
Yes, beautiful, aren't they?
That was caused by CO2.
No, that was caused by warm water masses from the Pacific.
Then why are the polar bears going extinct?
Are
The computer models say they are.
they? Oh, the people who actually go and count them have found more than they were 30 years ago.
For heaven's sake, Humphrey, it was all such nonsense. Why does everyone believe it?
Hard to understand, I agree, but some scientists believe it, but lots of others want the billions of pounds you can get for the research, which tends to show that global warming is caused by greenhouse gases. Most of the scientists who disagree can't get published. Journalists love shock horror stories. Governments want to look virtuous to the voters. Lefties want a way to bash big oil, and that makes all the tree huggers and whale savers and everybody at the BBC feel holier than thou and warm and fuzzy inside.
You're saying wind farms make no sense?
They certainly do, for all the businessmen getting enormous government grants for them. But there isn't enough wind to be practical. The total output of all the UK wind turbines put together is less than 1/4 of one decent-sized coal-fired power station.
He can't say any of that to the BBC.
Clever. Phone them back. Oh, give them a version of number 6. I'm sure you're misinformed somewhere. I mean, Al Gore got the Nobel Peace Prize for his work on global warming.
So did Dr. Kissinger for his work on the Vietnam War.
Aye. Has that happened since then?
The ambassador of Kyrgyzstan, Prime Minister.
I'm not ready for him yet. Oh, God. Oh, good. Your Excellency.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Please excuse my dishabille. I had just retired for the night when I received your summons.
No problem. We're very casual here at Checkers, aren't we, Bernard? Humphrey.
Bubbles, my dear chap.
Bubbles.
It's just like in the old days, isn't it?
Bubbles.
Now you don't know your old nickname.
They know, silly thing, Prime Minister. I used to be partial to champagne, that's all.
This is clear. Head of the policy unit at number 10. Oh, do sit down. Well, I'm so glad that you and Bubbles are old friends.
Yes, we are friendly.
So, Bernard's with you.
Yes, indeed.
And?
I'm not sure that I know precisely what you're asking.
Does Mr. Aitike mean what he says?
Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister consults me on matters of Kumanfan's policy pertaining to the United Kingdom. Mr. Aitike's sexual proclivities are not a matter of public policy.
We are aware of his perverted tastes.
I I don't consider it my business.
Well, unfortunately, he's made it your business, wouldn't you say?
Your Excellency, do you believe Mr. HPF would renege on his commitment to the pipeline deal if we could not oblige him this evening?
Well, we can be stubborn. But look, I believe that my personal opinion is as the same as yours. But in my country, sex with multiple partners is fine. We allow them.
No, this is prostitution.
Yes, but I'm here not as a moralist, but as a servant of our government.
There are other moral considerations here.
Indeed there are. But in all fairness to Mr. Etiquette, he did not ask you to obtain virgins for him. Am I right?
No, he didn't.
Just as I thought. He'd never do that.
Because?
Moral considerations.
And wouldn't that be a rather impractical request? 3 virgin call girls.
The reason is you would not defile them. You would want women who have already been defiled.
What, that is more moral.
In our country, once a woman has been defiled, she is worthless, dishonoured. Her family would not take her back. In fact, they would kill her. Few men would ever marry her. Her only true future is in a brothel. As a moral society, we have no tolerance for that sort of thing.
Not amongst women, anyway.
Are you saying we are a less moral society than Afghanistan?
I would say yes. We are certainly more rigorous about purity than Great Britain. We would not allow page 3, nor some of the publications that you see on the news agents, such as lusty Swedish virgins or big ones. Mr. Etiquette is offering an excellent opportunity to these girls. He's not ungenerous, and I'm sure he will offer them hundreds of pounds. That's better than death, wouldn't you say?
That's not really the voice here. In our culture.
Forgive me, but I'm speaking about our culture, Mr. Etiquette's culture.
It's unthinkable. There would be national outrage if this got out. I mean, the British public would think it was just wrong.
Would they? Maybe they would be envious.
Well, that would be worse, actually, but politically.
British women would think it wrong.
And some men.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
It's that simple.
You believe your values are right. So do we. You believe you should impose your values on us. Some of my people would like to impose their values on you. I say live and let live.
Are you a Muslim?
I'm a diplomat.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. But apart from that, what are you?
I'm a leader and a member of the MCC, of course.
That's good.
You don't want to discuss religion?
Dear me, no. I was brought up to believe it was bad manners to discuss religion in polite company. Weren't you?
I think Claire is asking the question because you seem rather English.
Have an Oxford Prime Minister. I know how to play straight bat.
Opening bat for Oxford. Got a blue.
The point is, Prime Minister, that our government is willing to help you obtain a loan that you need. I should already be saying this, but it is really Mr. Etiquette who wants this treaty, rather than our government as a whole. Our president is not as pro-Western as Mr. Etiquette, and in response to pressure from our extremists, we have thousands of them in Kumaranistan.
How do you define an extremist?
Anyone who opposes the government, really.
Oh, well, we have millions of extremists here, actually.
A majority of them.
I must warn you, Prime Minister, that our president is not convinced by your desire to force what you call democracy down the throats of the people in our region, when he can see the dismal results of it here.
You have the nerve to say to me that British democracy produces dismal results.
He didn't mean that. You didn't mean that, did you, Freddie?
No, of course not, Prime Minister. I was not referring to you, terrorist thought. I was merely referring to all those who oppose you, and who are against your noble, tireless work that you do for the British people.
He's right, actually.
Indeed he is.
Let me explain, Your Excellency. Procuring women for sex is against the law in this country.
I know that, but governments break laws all the time, whenever they perceive it to be in their national interests. Why do you have the SAS and MI6? What are covert operations in reality, if not law-breaking operations?
We need them. We live in dangerous times.
I know, for you, breaking the odd law doesn't count.
No, of course not. Except we must make sure the media doesn't find out. Unless... Oh, what? if one of the girls turns out to be underage? Oh, that would be ghastly.
If you say so. But in many cultures, including my own, we allow sex at puberty. In Sweden, the age of consent is 15.
Sweden.
In Italy, it's 14.
Oh, that's different.
Hot-blooded.
No, it's the mafia.
In Spain, it's 13.
Is it really?
Never do that.
Awfully young.
In the Vatican, until recently, it was 12.
12?
Well, they raised it to 14 to match Italian law.
Well, what sort of law is that?
The law of supply and demand, I imagine.
Prime Minister, not every country is like Great Britain.
No, more's the pity.
Prime Minister, I urge you to be practical.
No, no. This is the first step. Down a very slippery slope.
Down which you have been sliding ever since you took the job. It's the price of power. These girls will get paid. And as a result, unemployment will drop. Repossession will stop. Greece, Italy, and Spain will be bailed out, and Europe will be saved from disaster. I bid you good night.
He's trying to claim some sort of moral equivalence between his barbaric culture and ours.
Yes.
There isn't any.
No.
Is there not? I can't possibly agree to this, can I?
Of course not.
Claire?
Can't possibly.
Can I, Humphrey? But if we don't get this learned, I'm history.
How true.
So, how do you want me to handle Mr. Aitken's request?
Look, let's take this question for what it truly is. Is it better for 3 hookers to get screwed than the entire European economy?
When you put it that way, there's no choice.
Right?
Quite.
So, here's the problem. If we get in these 3 prostitutes now, and it gets out somehow, the public won't understand.
No shit.
Is there a way to neutralize that?
Prime Minister, you've always taken a very high moral tone. You're on the record against casual sex. If you were now to endorse prostitution as an instrument of policy, there's a chance you could be accused of inconsistent.
There are exceptions to every rule. And in this case, I'm prepared to make an exception to allow these girls to have patriotic sex with etiquette. They're doing it for their country, for Britain. It is actually an act of the greatest nobility.
In which position?
Prime Minister, procuring women for sex is a crime.
I could get a diplomatic immunity.
You haven't.
What? I could be prosecuted.
Oh, conspiracy? Pandering?
Only if I knew about it.
But you do know about it.
If any of this leaks, he doesn't know about it.
Do
Okay.
you think anyone will believe that?
Why not?
Well, there's so many things you don't know. What's one more?
We must frame it differently. You call this procuring women for sex, Bernard. We must avoid that kind of inflammatory language even in a classified document. We should avoid words such as prostitute, hooker, call girl, or escort, okay? Remember, Clinton got into trouble just for a blowjob.
I don't think I wish to be here for this conversation. It is unseemly. Prime Minister, take no part in this. Deniability works better if there's a little truth in it.
What about these 3 women?
In difficult times, sacrifices do have to be made, especially by ordinary people.
He's right.
No. There I hear everything you're saying, right? I still have sort of uncomfortable feeling about this. I know it may sound weird, but...
No, I understand.
Oh, thank you.
Sometimes it's difficult for a common sense solution to prevail over ingrained emotional responses, however irrational.
If we were to go ahead with this, how should it be referred to?
We have to make it sound positive. Like the ants did with torture, it's called enhanced interrogation techniques.
Enhanced entertainment techniques.
Well, it would have worked, but it's been done.
Horizontal diplomacy?
Smoking gun.
Anglo-Kuranistan liaison project.
A bit of a mouthful.
That's it! It's a Euro job.
Brilliant. It's a Euro job.
We need to find somewhere referring to the women too. What would you call someone who gives a Euro job?
A urologist?
So if it does get out, how will we defend it?
No! It's impossible! It's reckless! We're not in London. Mr. Akerkeeper is staying here in this house, not at some hotel. If word of such a scandal were to get out, we wouldn't be able to blame the porter or the concierge for finding the women for him.
There is always someone to blame. There always is.
Who?
I don't know. It's your job to find people for me to blame.
But who? Security is intense. The gates are guarded by the army. Tarts in King's Cross can't just flag down the royal helicopter. Somebody would have had to authorize it.
Yes, you.
No, Prime Minister, not me.
You refuse to obey me.
No, sir. You issue me a signed instruction, and I'll execute.
Prime Minister, the Director General of the BBC is here to see you.
Why?
He says he asked for this meeting last week.
Oh, that's right, Prime Minister. You invited him to pop in for a late drink. He's a neighbour. He lives in Gerrard's Cross, actually.
Neither of you thought of cancelling it when this Humanistan thing came up.
We could hardly have foreseen Mr. Akerkeeper's unusual request.
Well, we haven't finished. We haven't what does he want?
More money, I suppose. That's what the BBC always want.
More money. Suppose we could manage it. Yes. If we brought in the Civil Service Reform Act straight away,
I would advise against a precipitate approach to the civil service, Prime Minister, or the BBC, which is a magnificent organisation. The Rolls-Royce of broadcasting. It all needs mature deliberation, extensive consultation.
Yes, if we are to give more money to the BBC, we have to find it from somewhere, I'm afraid. If we cut the BBC licence fee, that would release more money for the civil service. So the Civil Service Reform Act wouldn't be so urgent. What do you think? I know how much you love the BBC.
It would seriously
It would seriously show how serious we are about putting the money back into the voters' pockets. What do you think? I'm glad to have your loyal support. Show him in.
The Director General, Prime Minister.
Jeremy.
Jim.
Drinking when you're not having Scotch.
Oh, fine, thanks.
Yes, do sit down. Sorry to rush. We're in a bit of a hurry. But I am glad you're here. It gives me the opportunity to talk to you about this TV programme on Sunday.
Now, what a programme?
The programme you're running on Sunday, rubbishing me.
Who are we?
Yes, please, let's not play games.
Look, it's not about you specifically. It's more of a broad, measured look at the state of the nation.
Rubbishing me, in fact.
No, fair, balanced, responsible.
I'm ready.
Perhaps, Jeremy, you don't realise the full extent of this financial crisis.
Anything that destabilises Britain at this juncture is grossly irresponsible.
Obviously, we don't want to destabilise Britain, as you put it. But we're not the government information service either. We have a duty to reflect all shades of opinion. We are journalists.
It's our job to keep the public fully informed. I do believe you refused an invitation to appear on it. That would have ensured you were represented.
Made us a surprise to you, Jeremy. I don't want it pre-recorded, edited, quoted out of context and made to look an utter wally.
Why don't you postpone this program, at least until the outcome of this Lancaster House summit is clear?
I do hope you're not putting political pressure on the BBC.
Political pressure? Good heavens. Yeah.
Most improper. I'm not even political. I'm just a humble civil servant.
We truly value the independence of the BBC.
Glad to hear it. That we couldn't possibly postpone at such late notice. And I can't interfere in content. I am only the Director General.
Oh, I see.
And besides, the producers would smell a rat and it would leak.
Just to clarify, a rat can leak, but you can't leak a rat.
What?
A rat can leak.
Well, thank you, Bernard. We get the point.
So, the smug and self-satisfied pundits of the BBC are going to go ahead with their biased and scurrilous attack on the democratically elected government. You got that, Bernard?
Democratically elected government.
No, our team of professional journalists are going ahead with their fair and balanced review of the political situation. Have you got that, Bernard?
Let me stop you right there. See, Humphrey has come up with a rather interesting idea, haven't you, Humphrey? He says that in these straitened times, even more cuts in expenditure will be necessary.
Impossible. We're already cut to the bone. There's nothing more we can do.
Humphrey says you could sell your digital channels and your website. So, well, BBC 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All the radio stations.
Except one Radio 4, BBC Publications, BBC Worldwide, the BBC Symphony.
The other 3 orchestras.
And then we could cut the BBC license fee by 80%. Well, that would be a real relief for you, wouldn't it?
But Humphrey, you've always said...
I know. I am a great supporter of the BBC. It's
But
just...
you were saying that they were overstretched, weren't you, Humphrey?
Well, it would, in normal circumstances, of course, naturally, be an entirely different ballgame, but yes, if the nation's under extreme fiscal and monetary pressure, it could be necessary, inter alia, to consider measures which, under different economic conditions, would not have been so desirable.
Oh, I couldn't have put it better myself. Humphreys pointed out that it's only 35 to 45 hours a week on BBC TV that is original or distinctive programming. Now, you could fit all of that onto one channel easily. So that's the point that you were making, wasn't it, Humphrey?
Perhaps the specifics are not so.
It's pretty simple, really. You get all of your quality programming, and all your financial worries are solved.
Oh, it's a monstrous idea! The BBC is a great bulwark of civilized values against a tide of commercials, and it's a beacon of world broadcasting.
A beacon of repeats of American movies, of reporting programming, bought-in sporting events. Most of what you show on the BBC is no different from what people can get on commercial channels, subscription channels, pay TV, sponsorships. That's what you were saying, wasn't it, Humphrey?
You really can't compare quality public broadcasting with tacky commercial output.
Well, yes, you can. You can compare programming, cookery programs, quizzes, makeovers, daytime programs.
Oh, it's cultural vandalism!
Well, why?
Radio 3 classical music!
There's plenty of them everywhere. Yeah, you could at last focus on quality, and you could forget all about the apprentice and the weakest link. Addicted to boob jobs. Help, my dog is as fat as me. And all the other junkets are obviously not being paid for by the taxpayer.
It's quality entertainment!
No optional chewing gum.
But Humphrey!
Well, you see, Jeremy, I yield to no one in my admiration for your, what you say suddenly, at the end of the day, Other things being equal, mutatis mutandis, in the fullness of time.
Then there is the question of your salary.
My salary?
What are your earnings? 675,000 plus a gigantic expense account.
You find that my salary is considerably lower than the remuneration of many chief executives of comparable organizations.
You poor thing. How ghastly.
Well now, that will have to change. Because running a small organization like the BBC couldn't possibly command more than 30% of your current earnings. But it's not about the money, as you said, it's about the quality of the service.
30%?
Well, you still earn more than me or even Humphrey. There's nothing to complain about there.
The board, the cabinet will never back you on this.
Ah, yes. The cabinet will definitely back me on this one. You see, whenever we go on the BBC, your presenters just jeer and sneer at us, posturing opportunists who never have to take responsibility for anything following their party line.
Oh, no, the BBC reports facts and reflects opinion. It has no political stance.
Maybe not. It certainly has a pretty consistent view on a whole lot of issues of immigration, multiculturalism, global warming, joining the euro. Well, anyway, we'll study your comments on this, but I think Humphrey's basic idea is pretty sound, so I shall wait to hear from you.
You most certainly will, Prime Minister. But
Now, just before you go, incidentally, another subject. If I were to appear live on this program on Sunday from Checkers...
Live? Are you quite sure, Prime Minister?
Oh, yes, that way they couldn't edit what I say. I would think that the BBC was at last trying to be fair. And especially if it was the last item I could answer all the points.
I don't see why we couldn't manage that. I'll have a word.
Now, the last scoop, really?
Oh, yes, it might be.
No, it would be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Well, you won't cancel the program, but they will give you the live interview at the end of it.
Live. Live, Prime Minister, I do admire your courage.
Very courageous. Help me, what will I say?
Well, goodbye.
At least the Prime Minister has bought us some time.
Time for what?
Time to think of something to say to the BBC, and time to keep Athia in this deal. Speaking of which, Jim, it's getting late. If we're going to get these girls for Athia, we better get on with it.
Is there no other way?
We could just say no.
No, can't take that risk. It would be... The whole conference would collapse. Collapse of the cabinet. Collapse of my backbench support. Collapse of the coalition. Collapse of my career. Will be the greatest disaster since Dunkirk.
I think not, Prime Minister.
You name me a bigger one.
The Freedom of Information Act.
I'm begging you, what is your advice?
Well, Prime Minister, one hesitates to say this, but there are times when circumstances conspire to create an inauspicious concatenation of events that necessitate a metamorphosis, as it were, of the situation, such that what happened in the first instance to be primary import, fraud, hazard, and menace can be relegated to a secondary or indeed tertiary position, while a new, hitherto unforeseen or unappreciated element can and indeed should be introduced to support and supersede those prior concerns, not by confronting them, but by subordinating them to the overarching imperatives and increased urgency of the previously unrealized predicament, which may in fact, ceteris paribus, now only be susceptible to radical and remedial action, such that you might feel forced, Prime Minister, to consider the currently intractable position in which you find yourself.
What does he mean, Bernard?
I think that he's perhaps suggesting the possibility that you consider your position. Resign, in fact, Prime Minister.
I'm not resigning, Humphrey. You can consider the Civil Service Reform Act a done deal, so there. What about that? What would the Americans do?
Shall we ask them?
No, not the White House.
How about the CIA? I know someone at the sharp end.
What?
Hi, yes, it's Claire Sutton. I'm at Checkers, actually. Fine. It's just I had a problem. I wondered if you had any views or suggestions. Everything at the conference has been going well until now. Everyone's ready to agree. I know, incredible. It's just that Mr. Adakiev, yes, that little Commonwealth foreign minister, he's demanded that we get 3 cool girls tonight to have sex with. Yes, an orgy. Yes, tricky. Any thoughts? Oh, we don't have people to do that.
To do what? Oh, ring off!
I'm leaving. I'm leaving again.
That won't fly here. Any other suggestions?
Get off the phone, load up my package!
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's after 10 p.m. here, and we don't keep a vicar on the premises.
No!
The PM's calling me, got to rush. Call you later. Bye!
Assassination? Is that what he suggested?
I agree. It's not practical.
It's impractical and it's immoral. I can't go around murdering the leaders of democratically elected foreign governments.
We have actually facilitated the Americans in this kind of operation, I believe.
We haven't done it ourselves.
We could consider it if it's what the people would want.
Which people?
Our people. I am their leader. I must follow them. That's how democracy is defined, giving the British people what they want. Don't you know anything?
I think he was elected too. You're saying our democracy trumps everyone else's.
Obviously.
How do we know that's what our people want? They haven't been asked.
It's very simple, but they elected me. I represent the will of the people. If I want it, they do.
And it's pretty obvious they don't want us held ransom by little perverts like Mr. Adakiev.
Yes, you can't assassinate them. It's ridiculous. It's wrong. It's corrupt. How would we do it actually?
No, it's not practical. We don't have the people to do that.
Are you sure?
No, but I'm sure we don't have them here now. Besides, ACF's here, and even PC Plod would know we were involved. We could ask the White House to send a drone.
Drone?
Well, they send them all over the place these days.
They're not very selective. It might kill us.
We could indicate each careful window and ask them to be careful.
But everybody would know. We did it.
Could we say it was Al-Qaeda?
No. How would that make our people feel? No.
What was that you were saying about a vicar?
Oh, he suggested getting some religious input.
Why did he actually bring God into everything?
He's on their side, isn't he?
What did he suggest?
Pray.
Murder and prayer.
That's the way they do things.
Americans are.
That's not such a bad idea.
What?
Prayer.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Why not? I mean, Bush and Blair is pray.
Look what happened to the rest of us.
Come on, brother. Come on. No, wait a minute. Wait. I was thinking about this. I never had to ask God's advice about whether or not to supply a trio of prostitutes before. You might get offended.
Not with you, surely. Agency was the sinner here.
Yes, right. And if God says it's okay, then it can't be a sin. And if he says no, well, I won't do it. So I'm in the clear either way.
Well, just the same, I wouldn't use profane language with God if I were you. Like the F word.
Oh.
Don't say, Ada Kid wants to F 3 hookers.
Oh, thank you for your helpful advice, Bernard.
I'm just saying it wouldn't be the norm, that's all.
I'm pretty sure God knows all the 4-letter words in every language. He is supposed to be
yes, and he probably knows all about this thing. He may be waiting for me to contact him.
Then I shouldn't keep him waiting too long. He must have lots of other things to do.
Yes, but I am the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and one of the presidents of the European Commission. I'm sure he knows that he must find time for me when I need him.
I'm sure he does, Prime Minister.
We'll see, won't we?
Oh, God, our rocking age is past. I'm sorry I haven't been in contact for a bit. We're all down here at Cheddar's, but you know that already being omniscient. Ready to sign a pipeline contract which could stop the EU from imploding. Then, as a clear blue sky, straight to Kiev, as demanded, etc., you know it all. So if we don't give him these call girls, sorry about the language, God, but I'm trying to find a nice way to report it. He'll renege, and the conference will collapse, and any opportunity for agreement and harmony and peace on Earth, well, in Europe anyway, will be lost. So my question is, which is the greater evil, Lord? Is it really okay for me to authorize procuring some little scrubbers for him to have sex with? I'm having trouble squaring that away. And yet, by the way, if we do get him these girls, what do we do with them afterwards? Do we give them an honor? Or do we hand them over to the CIA to put in one of those prisons in Poland that don't exist anymore? I look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience. Amen.
Amen.
How was that?
Clear. Respectful.
Now what?
We wait to see the answers.
Maybe that's it.
Don't you sleep such a strong and forecast from yesterday?
Well, it is God, it sounds angry.
Well, obviously, procuring prostitutes, no way he proved. See?
People turn into villains with soft reflex.
This is serious, dear.
I agree, let's find a serious way of tackling it.
We will claim that there was nobody had any better ideas, okay?
So, is God telling you to get party girls taken here or not?
I think what he's saying is, search your heart, find a way to do what's right.
Oh, it sounds exactly like something he'd say.
I think I've found a way out of this hideous dilemma. Thank God!
Are you alright?
God has given me an inspiration. You see, I've been trying to find a way to justify this for if we are doing this, and I just can't. I mean, it's wrong, no matter which way you look at it.
So,
Why must they be British girls?
what?
Every time I have a meeting with the women and the team on justice for women, they tell me that we have a major problem, huge problem in our major cities with sex trafficking. Foreign girls brought to London by the lorry load, or some of them swindled into coming to the UK for jobs, given money for travel, then put into massage brothels and kept there till they repay the money, if ever. So,
I see. Get them!
they have no family, nobody will miss them. They don't even speak English. We get ones that can't speak English. Well, that way they can't tell anybody anything. we give them to Isaac here tonight, we report them tomorrow, it's done!
No one will ever know. It's perfect.
How is that perfect? What about human rights?
No, we can't protect everybody, Bernard. We protect our citizens. What's the matter with you?
It's just collateral damage, that's all.
Yes.
Weren't you asking God for moral guidance?
I share Bernard's doubts about that.
What?
I wouldn't give God the credit. It was your idea, Jim, and it's brilliant.
No! We'd be sex slave traffickers ourselves!
Bernard, if some illegal immigrants have sex with ITK, well, I'm sorry for it, but if they're not British citizens, they're not my problem.
Bernard, you really are a little sentimental.
And none of it's my fault. You want somebody to blame, you go talk to ITK, but you won't do that. Oh, no. So you come up with a better plan, or shut up and get it done.
I do not believe that women are worthless.
What?
When did Jim say that?
I never said they were worthless. It was foreigners I was talking about.
It seemed to me to be the implication of the whole discussion, of everything the ambassador said, that I personally am most reluctant to break the law and procure 3 women for what seems to me to be an immoral purpose.
Immoral. The future of Europe is at stake. Mass unemployment, the money supply.
I just think it's not right. This is a moral dilemma that I really don't know how to address.
No. Ever since this started, you've been bleating on about whether or not something's right. We're politicians. We're not bishops. We're not here to do what's right. We're here to serve the public.
It's not easy, I understand.
What if we do get this deal signed? What if the Prime Minister loses the next election and the next government has a different policy?
There are no guarantees.
And for no guarantees, I'm to be an accomplice in a Euro job.
This deal will stick. There will be a treaty. Great Britain will be a signatory, and we always keep our word.
Well, we don't actually.
Well, we often do. We definitely will in this case.
Fine, Bernard. Before it gets any later, I'll organise it. Right. Who do I phone?
To get the helicopter.
To get the 3 young ladies?
You don't know.
No. How would I know?
Then how do you think I know?
Let me get this straight. We finally agreed to do this. And no one even knows how.
Well, do you know how?
I cannot believe it. The TV news shows tell me we are crawling with illegal foreign hookers and nobody even knows how to find one. What's going on here?
Ask the Vice Squad. They'll know.
You want to call the Vice Squad and ask them to find the 3 from and bring them here on the Royal helicopter? Have you lost your mind? They're fucking headlines!
Just hurry up. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, what's that about?
Don't know. She seems to be talking to somebody out there.
Oh, who?
I can't see properly. The trees are in the way.
Oh, so we are stuck.
Doesn't it worry you that this is wrong, Prime Minister?
It seems to me necessary, Bernard. Government's not about right or wrong. It's about whatever is the lesser evil.
It can be about right and wrong.
Are you sure you're in the right job? I was a major chancellor, Archbishop of Canterbury, for instance.
You want to get rid of me?
No, not get rid of you, Bernard. Sideways move. Find you a good home. Meanwhile, we have a crisis.
A moral
A
crisis.
survival crisis. We might as well, and a moral crisis. I have to survive this weekend and stay in office. If I don't, well, I won't be able to do the things that people elected me to do. The health service, the schools, and all that crap. I have a moral obligation to do whatever is necessary to stay in power.
I'm not sure that the end justifies the means. Look at where that philosophy leads. Stalin wanted all the farms in the Ukraine collectivized. He thought there'd be more food. But the peasant farmers opposed him, so he ordered all 5 million of them to be killed.
Well, when you kill 5 million, there is more food.
But does that make it right?
Well, that depends upon whether or not you're one of the 5 million. Where did you get to?
I heard a dog bark out there, and I recognised it. It belongs to the cook. The illegal immigrant cook, remember?
I've got about, what are we doing? about her.
Claire, really, I mean, we have more pressing matters tonight.
That was the cook's daughter out there walking the dog. Her 18-year-old daughter.
Are you suggesting?
Yes, now I know there's only one of her, but she's very attractive. And if Joe ate here, we're trying.
Would it?
And she's had sex more than once.
Well, how on earth would you know?
I asked her.
What?
And she just told you.
An illegal immigrant, Jim. Exactly what you wanted.
No, I mean, Claire, Claire, I am sorry, the answer has to be, well, the answer has to be no. She's, oh, did you explain to her what we want her to do?
I sort of hinted at it.
What precisely did you?
Oh, a hint can't be precise, Prime Minister, because...
A slate, rich and powerful man. She seems interested.
It's forbidden, right? It's the right thing to do, right?
You were the one who said it would be patriotic, an act of the greatest nobility, he said.
She's a foreigner, can't be patriotic with her.
It will be when her papers come through. You're giving her a chance to serve her new country.
An act of retrospective patriotism.
Oh, shut up, Bernard.
Prime Minister pimps his cook's daughter for sex with foreign diplomat and check.
Claire, no. The answer, I can't go through with it. The mother is a member of my staff.
Okay.
Claire, wait. What if the girl tells her mother?
Oh, I don't know. I asked her if she'd heard of the Immigration Detention Centre at Harmonsworth.
Had she?
Of course, that's like asking if you'd heard of Guantanamo. I said, if you tell anyone about tonight, including your mother, that's where you'll end up. I couldn't threaten anything worse. Okay, fine. I'll go and tell the girl that it's off for tonight.
Ring the Home Secretary, get citizenship for the cook.
Why?
What does she tell the mother?
Well, hopefully she won't.
What if she does? How will the mother react?
Well, probably, not awfully well. I mean, how would you react if you were her mother?
I wonder if might not be pleased. Would give me the leverage to get a work permit.
How many drinks have you had, Prime Minister?
Just the one.
Okay, she's gone.
Oh, thank God.
To get a work permit for the cook, she'd have to have special skills.
She makes great dumplings. I hope that is Ring the Home Secretary now.
Now?
Yes, now, damn it.
Hello, Home Secretary. Yes, sorry to wake you. Oh, just having a nightcap. That's good. The PM asked me to call you about the cook at Checkers. The cook. Well, we've discovered that she's an illegal alien, and he wants her to be given a UK visa immediately. I think because the PM likes her dumplings. No, that was not a sexist remark. Yes, thank you, I see. Yes, bye. I'm so sorry, Prime Minister. I think the Home Secretary's had a few. There's never any point trying to talk to her after 6 p.m.
Do you think we ought to let the ambassador know we can't get anyone for 8 p.m. tonight?
Yes. Bring him here, please.
Hey? Who? Oh, yes. We all love your goulash and dumplings this evening. I see. Yes. has spoken to the cook.
Already.
She wants to talk to you, Jim.
Oh my God. Oh. Go on, answer the phone.
I'm not getting it.
This is your fault. You started this. You fixed it. Answer the
The
phone.
ambassador's coming.
I'm not getting it. She wants to talk to you.
Yes. My God, where did you get this from? Of course I deny it. Yes, there is absolutely no foundation whatsoever for that story. Of course you can't quote me. I'm not going to dignify that rubbish with a response. It seems the cook has talked to the Daily Mail.
What about?
She's only just phoned here.
Well, she's just phoned there, too.
Can't we buy what? The future policy scheme?
Of course not. It's a newspaper. They're interested in sex, not government.
The cook really wants to speak to you, Jim.
No,
You have
I can't possibly do it.
She was insistent.
No, I don't speak to ordinary people until there's an election coming on.
Please, Jim, you have to speak to the cook. You have to-
Just bring her back. Find out just what the bloody hell she wants.
What's all this about?
Yes, this is the Prime Minister's principal private secretary speaking. He's too busy to talk to himself, so can you tell me what it is that you want? I see. I see. I see. I see. She's discovered that the press will give her cash if her daughter is prepared to tell what happened tonight in her own words.
Which are?
That some woman approached her in the garden and asked her to have sex with you, Prime Minister.
Of course it's not true.
I'm only telling you what she told
This is
me.
an outrageous
I am merely the messenger. It was her idea. I knew it would be disastrous.
Well, how much does she want?
I don't know. I forgot to ask.
Prime Minister, I think I understand what's been going on here, and I have an idea. I know how to deal with this. May I?
Yes, please.
We have to stop this from going public.
Oh, brilliant. Got any more bright ideas?
Look, as far as the Daily Mail knows, this is a scam. If we deny it and they still run the story, we slap a libel writ on them and clean up financially, and then we report her.
Yes, she's not important in the grand scheme of things.
Who is?
I am. What's our reply to the press when they come to talk to us?
We say we can't talk about it, national security.
How do you describe procuring sex with the cook's daughter as national security?
Say we can't talk about
But
it.
that is what the press will want to talk about.
For God's sake, Jim, you don't give journalists what they want. It's, don't encourage them.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What are we going to do? That's no facts.
If you can't ignore facts, you have no business being in government.
Prime Minister?
Oh, fuck off.
It's done. The cook and her daughter were upstairs in their accommodation. At your request, the Diplomatic Protection Group has taken them into protective custody and has turned them over to the Ministry of Defence Police.
At my request.
I requested it on your behalf, Prime Minister. The Ministry of Defence Police have complete police jurisdiction over the entire UK. They have the power to arrest, detain, and then place a control order upon anyone at all.
So how does a control order work?
House arrest, usually, plus no access to mobile phones, the internet, or the media. wherever they believe lives may be saved or injuries prevented by so doing, lasts for up to a year, but in practice is infinitely renewable.
No. Impose a control order.
The Home Secretary has to do that,
No, not her.
with the approval of the High Court.
Oh, says who?
The Ministry of Defence Police. Oh, the European Convention on Human Rights.
The bloody Europeans, you're taking away our rights.
Well, actually, Prime Minister, taking away your rights, but increasing everybody else's.
They have a fair trial, it's not fair.
Yes, but broadly speaking, a trial can be held in secret. A judge can't quash the control order unless it's obviously flawed, and the evidence against them is never really challenged.
Why not?
Because it's withheld from them and their lawyers.
I like that.
But we still have to make a deal with the Home Secretary.
I could try to get her private secretary to bounce it past her one evening when she's had a few.
What if that doesn't work?
Well, we could leak that the Home Secretary allowed an illegal immigrant / suspected terrorist to get into the country and infiltrate checkers. Yes, drunk in charge of the Home Office, that should do it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, she'll cooperate.
At this point, the MOD police just need an allegation. Are you prepared to state that the cook and her daughter are in fact terrorists?
Me?
Yeah. Because no judge will want to declare your allegation obviously flawed. You are the Prime Minister, Prime Minister.
Yes, I am. Prepared to state. Categorically, I'm prepared.
Prime Minister, I think you are prepared to say to the police that both the cook and her daughter are in possession of information which, if it were known, would lead to a rapid escalation of violence, leading to the loss of thousands more lives in the ongoing war.
Yes, I am. Now, that's even true. So you make a note of what you've just said. I'll sign it in the morning.
Excellent decision, Prime Minister. Oh, Freddie, the Prime Minister is expecting you.
Oh!
The Kyrgyzstan ambassador, Prime Minister.
Oh, do sit down. Look, I'm not going to beat about the bush. I'm afraid you have to tell your Mr. Antiquaire that we have not been able to find a suitable candidate.
You suggested that by now, Prime Minister. I'm afraid that half an hour ago, he informed our President that he doesn't find you sympathetic to our national aspirations.
What?
The pipeline deal is, I'm afraid, no more.
Oh, really? Will you tell him, Mr. Antiquaire, if he withdraws from the pipeline agreement, those weapon systems we sold you will be cancelled forthwith.
But we have them already, Prime Minister.
Oh, you do? Then we won't supply you with the spare parts, there you go. And they'll be useless within months. They'll be full of sand. They probably are already.
It won't matter. We are making a new weapons agreement with the Russians.
Well, you can go. You can tell him, Mr. Antiquaire, that Great Britain will be breaking off diplomatic relations with your country.
Are you serious?
Yes. You have 48 hours to get to Heathrow.
Do you think I am a snail?
Was that wise, Prime Minister?
I don't know. I no longer care.
I think I lost my moral compass tonight. I can tell you one thing. This incident will not be in my memoirs.
Of course not. Memoirs are not the truth. They are the case for the defence.
No. Humphrey's right, it's all over. And Bernard, tomorrow morning, you have to arrange for me to see the Queen and offer my resignation.
I'm so sorry, Prime Minister.
Oh, God!
No Prime Minister, just me. I have returned with the answer to all your problems. Global warming.
What did he say?
He said global warming,
Yes, I
Prime
heard what
Minister.
he said. What does he mean? I thought you were against it.
Everyone's against it, Prime Minister. I suddenly realized that's the beauty of it. we can get a unanimous agreement with our European partners to do something about it.
But if it's not happening, well, how can you do something about something that isn't happening?
Or much easier to solve an imaginary problem than a real one. If everyone thinks global warming is real, they'll all want to stop it, so long as it doesn't cost too much.
Do you believe it's real?
Do you?
I don't know.
Nor do I. Haven't the faintest idea. But it doesn't matter what we think. The question now is, what are we going to do about it?
If it isn't happening, what can we do about it?
Well, there's so much we can do. Impose taxes, stiffen European rules about carbon emissions and rubbish disposal, make massive investments in wind turbines. We can agree, in fact, under your leadership, to save the world.
Oh, like that. Ooh. Ah.
Wait. India, China, Brazil, Russia, they'll never cooperate.
Well, they don't have to. We'll simply ask them to agree to review their emissions policy.
Will they?
Of course, and they'll decide not to change them. But in the meantime, you can talk about the future of the planet, look statesmanlike, and it'll be 50 years before anybody could possibly prove you were wrong.
You can discount anything you said previously by saying that the computer models were flawed.
The voters will love me.
There'll be more government expenditure.
Yes. How will we pay for it? We're broke.
We'll introduce a special global warming tax on fuel now, but phase in expenditure gradually over the next 50 years.
Well, that will get us out of the hole now.
And our allies.
That's all we need.
Oh, everybody benefits. You reduce dependence on foreign oil. We have a face-saving excuse to abandon the pipeline agreement.
And the Germans will love it. They have a big green movement.
We can even get the frogs on board, as long as they get more benefits than anybody else.
Right. Now, listen. My TV interview's on Sunday, so you have today to get the conference to agree.
That's not a problem. They'll be desperate to announce something when they get home.
There is one problem. Nothing will actually have been achieved.
But it will sound as though it has. And people will think it has.
And that's all that matters.
So to summarise, there is a deepening financial crisis. Division in the cabinet, opinion polls are at their lowest for 7 years, government borrowing at their highest, their all-time high, and apparently no agreement on what to do about it all at the Lancaster House Conference. Today's papers are asking if Jim Hacker's government can survive. I'm here, in Chequers, live with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, can you survive?
Of course. All governments go through difficult patches.
Yes, but this is much more than just a difficult patch, isn't it?
It's a world problem. Obviously, I expect their conscience for the UK, but we should have
But
done the way
it's
we have.
much worse here than in many other countries. Is that not true?
Excuse me. I've been waiting for this. Well, now, look, listen. I think this will provide a different complexion. Oh, this is one of the most momentous documents you will ever see.
May we know what it is?
Oh, it's the final communique of the conference. It's a binding agreement on all members of the European Union to devote unprecedented sums to combat global warming. Oh, you've seen the latest IPCC report that not only are things worse than we ever thought, but also they're deteriorating far more quickly.
Yes, that was one of the things I was coming to, but if we could first talk about the level of debt.
I obviously haven't made myself clear. I'm not talking about day-to-day issues, talking about the survival of life on this planet. I know that you have to make your little political points, and that's how, that's your job. But these findings on global warming, well, they make all other issues insignificant.
You can't call our debt level insignificant.
Now, understand, Simon, you can chase the little preoccupations of daily journalism. As Prime Minister, I have to consider the future of our country and of the world. A heavy responsibility. This document is so momentous, it commits Europe to an investment of €5 trillion.
How can we possibly afford to spend that sum of money?
We can't afford not to.
But if the money's not there...
No. We are facing catastrophic rise in sea levels. We're facing torrential storms, melting ice caps, mass unemployment, mass migration.
Are you sure?
Of course. The computer models don't lie. They have no ulterior motive.
But €5 trillion?
No. Listen, over time. No. It'll be less, of course. At first, we have so much research on carbon sequestration plants. We have new fast-breaking reactors, biofuels.
Surely taxes will have to go up, and people will not like that.
Simon, people aren't as selfish as you think they are. They're worried about their children, their grandchildren, the future of mankind. If they have to give up another gas guzzler or a fourth plasma TV set, I think that is the sort of sacrifice people are willing to make.
Prime Minister, I did want to talk to you about the cabinet divisions that
There is no cabinet division about the survival of our species. My cabinet will support the prospect of this investment over 20 years' time.
You won't be in office then, Prime Minister.
I think that's an unworthy remark. I'm saying that governments can't contemplate issues beyond the immediate future.
No, but 20 years
is an historic consensus. It is the agreement of every nation in the European Union. It will stand alongside the Magna Carta, the American Declaration of Independence.
Okay, now to move on quickly.
Oh, if I may just make one point. I would just like to say how humble it makes me to feel that I, as the President of the Commission, was able to bring about this historic agreement, which is, quite frankly, more than most of the post-war achievements that any other government could bring together. It is, as I say, humbling. Oh, it's deeply humbling.
Yes. Yes, Prime Minister, thank you, Prime Minister. And then we have to leave it for this week. Until next week, goodbye.
I think you really can put together a tough interview.
Yes, thank you, Prime Minister.
Magnificent Prime Minister.
Well played, Jim. So, you would have had to square this with cabinet fast, but it's a surprise to them. I've been in touch with some press agents.
Bob Geldof.
Can't reach him, but we're waiting to hear back from Bono. But I got this text from Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Endorse this.
Well, that's it then. I mean, the cabinet won't go against that. I'm back!
Then, get me their contact details at once. I'll get them to a dinner at number 10.
Bubbles!
Now, we're not there yet. After that interview, we need to show some impressive action. Something serious to make it stick.
An initiative.
Yes.
Working party?
Too lightweight.
Our task force.
Not sure.
Yes, well, have we got anything in the kitty?
It could be one of those initiatives which you announce, but never actually spend the money.
Great! Like the one on child poverty.
Maybe a government committee.
What about a royal commission?
There you have it. They won't report back for 3 years, and if you put the right people on it, they'll never agree on anything. A royal commission!
Well, a royal commission makes it sound important, but not like it's urgent.
So what would you suggest?
What about a global warming czar?
Fine, that do it.
I think it would need a bit more than that, Prime Minister.
Such as?
It would mean announcing quite a big unit, plus an impressive salary for the Tsar, to show how much importance you place upon the appointment.
No problem. Oh, who should it be?
It can't be a political figure. Too divisive. Someone impartial. Someone who knows how to operate the levers of power. Engage the gears of the white-born machine. Drive the engine of government.
Oh, I say, that's quite a tall order. Anybody got any ideas? Humphrey. Could you?
Oh yes, Prime Minister.